It began on a quiet night, a night when most people were sleeping and the world felt calm. The sky was clear, the stars were shining, and the moonlight touched the oceans and cities below. Nobody expected anything strange. Nobody thought the world was about to change forever. But then, the silence of space broke. A shape appeared high above Earth, far beyond the clouds, moving slowly but with great purpose. At first, only astronomers noticed. They saw something huge blocking the stars. They thought it was a mistake, maybe a shadow, maybe a satellite. But when they looked again, they saw it was real. A ship massive and dark was entering Earth's orbit. Soon, news stations across the world began to report it. The cameras pointed at the night sky, and the world saw the same thing. A giant object hanging above like a silent mountain of metal. It was not a comet, not an asteroid, not a human craft. It was something else. Something alien. People panicked. Some prayed, some screamed, some ran to the streets. Governments tried to calm the crowd, but even leaders were afraid. They had no control over this visitor. The ship just waited there, floating like a predator waiting to strike. Its surface was black, smooth, and endless. Lights moved across it like veins of cold fire. Then it spoke. A signal spread across every device, every radio, every screen. The same voice, calm and heavy, filled the air. "Do not fear. We come in peace." "We only watch." The voice was not human. It was deep, sharp, and strange, like many voices speaking together. It promised no harm, but its presence was heavy. People wanted to believe, but something about the tone felt wrong. It was not the voice of a friend. It was the voice of something that thought itself superior. Scientists tried to study the ship. They measured its size, larger than any city on Earth. They tried to scan it, but their signals bounced back, blocked by alien technology. The military prepared weapons, but everyone knew missiles and jets would be useless against something this advanced. For days, the ship stayed silent. It hung above Earth like a black sun, casting shadows of fear over every nation. People stopped working, stopped sleeping, stopped laughing. All eyes were on the sky, but then something else happened. Strange signals began spreading across Earth. Satellites caught them, radios caught them, even animals seemed to sense them. Birds flew in strange patterns. Dogs howled at night. Whales in the deep oceans changed their songs. The signals were everywhere, but no one could understand them. The aliens were watching. Inside the ship, alien eyes studied humans. To them, humanity looked small, weak, and chaotic. They saw a divided planet full of wars, poverty, and mistakes. They saw humans as primitives who fought each other over land and money, creatures who burned their world for power. The aliens laughed in silence. To them, Earth was just another easy world to control. They had seen many planets before. Civilizations older, stronger, and smarter than humans had already fallen to them. They believed humans would be no different, but they did not understand something important. Humanity was strange. Humanity was unpredictable, and humanity had a strength the aliens could not measure. While the aliens waited, the world leaders met in secret rooms. They asked each other the same questions. Why are they here? What do they want? Will they attack? But no one had answers. Fear was heavy in every voice. One scientist, however, felt something different. She was a woman who had studied human history, who knew the stories of survival, courage, and sacrifice. She whispered to herself as she looked at the sky, "They think we are weak, but they do not know us yet." The first contact was near, and the aliens had already made their first mistake. They underestimated humanity. The night grew darker, the ship above Earth grew larger in the minds of people, and suspense spread through every corner of the planet. What would the aliens do next? Would they reveal themselves as friends or as conquerors? Nobody knew. But one thing was certain. The story of humanity was about to enter a new chapter, a chapter written under the shadow of an alien ship. And this was only the beginning. The black ship had remained in Earth's orbit for days, silent, heavy, and unmoving. People had begun to adapt to its presence, but the fear never left them. It was like a storm cloud that refused to pass, a constant reminder that something powerful was watching from above. Then, one morning, the silence broke again. The ship opened. From its dark surface, a glowing door appeared, shining like molten silver. Out of it, a smaller craft detached, sharp and smooth, shaped like an arrowhead. It slipped silently through the atmosphere, moving faster than any jet but without fire or sound. The world held its breath as the alien craft descended toward Earth. Governments argued over what to do. Some wanted to fire missiles, others wanted to let it land in peace. But in the end, no decision mattered. The craft chose its own landing place. It came down in the middle of a desert, where soldiers and scientists were already waiting. The world leaders had secretly agreed on this meeting spot, far from cities, far from crowds. Cameras were hidden, drones circled from high above, and armed guards stood ready. Nobody knew if this was the beginning of peace or war. The craft landed without a sound. Its surface shifted like liquid metal, then froze again into solid black. A long ramp extended, and from the darkness inside, the envoys walked out. The first sight of them stole the breath of every human present. The aliens were tall, taller than any man, their bodies covered in armor that seemed alive, glowing with blue veins of light. Their faces were hidden behind masks of glass, showing only shadows where eyes should be. They moved with slow confidence, every step echoing like thunder on the desert floor. There were 5 of them. They walked side by side, their posture calm, but their presence carried weight like a mountain pressing down. A human general stepped forward, his voice shaking as he greeted them. "Welcome to Earth." The leader of the aliens tilted his head as if amused. Then a sound filled the air, not from their mouths but from the machines in their armor. A perfect translation came out deep and cold. "We accept your welcome. You will now listen." The humans glanced at each other nervously. The aliens' words were not polite. They were commands. The leader continued, "We have traveled across many stars. We have seen many worlds. All worlds follow the same law. The strong rule and the weak obey. You are weak. You will serve us. Resistance is useless." The words fell like heavy stones. Soldiers gripped their weapons tighter, but their leaders held them back. Nobody wanted to start a war with something they did not understand. The aliens looked at the humans as if they were insects, interesting but small. Their voices carried no fear, no doubt. They believed this was already over, but not everyone felt powerless. Among the humans was a scientist, Dr. Elena Marlowe, who had studied humanity's past wars, struggles, and survival. She stood behind the generals, quiet but sharp-eyed. As she listened to the alien words, she did not only hear arrogance, she heard weakness hidden inside confidence. The aliens thought they knew humanity, but they only saw the surface. She whispered softly to herself, "They underestimate us." The meeting continued. The aliens asked no questions. They gave no offers. They only repeated their truth. Humans would serve or humans would suffer. To prove their power, one alien raised his arm. A beam of light shot into the sky. In seconds, every human device in the desert went dead. Radios, weapons, drones, all useless. Soldiers panicked, but the aliens simply stood still, their voices calm. "You cannot fight us. You cannot hide from us. Submit and you may live." Fear spread like fire. The generals struggled to keep order, but the truth was clear. This enemy was beyond anything Earth had faced before. But Dr. Marlowe kept watching. She noticed small things. The aliens relied heavily on their machines. Their power came from technology, not from spirit. They thought in straight lines like perfect logic. But humans, she knew, were not so simple. When the meeting ended, the aliens returned to their craft, leaving behind silence heavy as stone. They promised to return soon with their final decision. As the alien ship rose back into the sky, every human heart felt the same weight. Fear. But hidden inside that fear in a few brave souls, another feeling began to grow. Not surrender. Not obedience. Something else. Defiance. Because while the aliens believed humanity was weak, the truth was different. Humanity had survived plagues, wars, disasters, and enemies far greater than themselves. Humanity had something no machine, no empire, no alien could measure: hope. And hope was dangerous. That night, under the shadow of the black ship, secret voices whispered around the world. Leaders, soldiers, and ordinary people began to ask the same question: what if we fight back? The first contact had ended, but it was only the start. The aliens believed the humans would break easily, but they had made their first mistake. They had spoken not to slaves, but to survivors, and survivors do not surrender. The desert meeting had ended, but the shadow of the alien ship still stretched over the world. The aliens had left Earth with a warning: serve or suffer. Yet instead of attacking right away, they waited. They watched. Days later, their voice filled the skies again. The translation came on every device, on every screen. We will test you. We will learn your limits. Do not resist. The words were simple, but their meaning was heavy. The aliens did not plan to destroy Earth at once. They wanted to measure humanity first, as if humans were nothing more than insects to be studied. Soon after, the first tests began. In different parts of the world, alien craft descended. They did not fire weapons, they did not destroy cities. Instead, they built strange arenas, massive glowing structures of black and silver. They called humans inside, forcing them to prove themselves in contests of strength, speed, and intelligence. At first, people believed these were games. But the truth was darker. These were trials designed not for fun, but for judgment. The aliens wanted to show humans how weak they were. The first challenge was strength. Soldiers from many nations were chosen. They entered the alien arena, a place where gravity was heavier, where the air was thick, where strange weapons appeared from walls. The humans struggled, sweating, fighting to lift weights and move under alien rules. The alien observers watched from high platforms, their glowing eyes cold, their voices silent. When the first human collapsed, gasping for air, the aliens whispered to one another in their own tongue. Their translators did not share the words, but their tone was full of arrogance. They believed the results were clear. Humans were weak, fragile, and slow. But then something happened. One soldier, a small woman from South America, stood where others fell. She kept going even when her muscles shook, even when her body almost broke. She did not win by power, but by will. She lifted the final weight with a scream that echoed through the arena. The aliens tilted their heads, surprised. To them, strength was measured in numbers, in pure calculation. But this human had shown something else: endurance, spirit, a refusal to stop. The aliens wrote down their results, but their arrogance kept them blind. They still believed humans were nothing special. The second challenge was intelligence. This time, scientists and children were brought into strange alien rooms filled with puzzles and symbols. Machines projected lights and patterns, asking the humans to solve problems of logic, mathematics, and memory. At first, the humans struggled. The symbols were unfamiliar, the puzzles alien. Some gave up quickly, shaking their heads. The aliens smirked behind their masks. They were sure humans could not keep up. But then, a young boy no older than 10 began to draw shapes in the dust on the floor. He connected symbols in a way no adult had tried. Slowly, he solved a puzzle faster than the alien machines predicted. He clapped his hands and laughed, proud of himself. The alien observers grew still. For a moment, they seemed almost confused. A child had broken their pattern, using creativity instead of logic. One alien muttered in its own tongue, the translator lagging. The words that came through were sharp. Unstable species. Unpredictable. Dr. Marlowe, who had been allowed to watch, wrote down everything. She saw the cracks in the alien's perfect mask. For the first time, their confidence was not complete. The final challenge was combat. The aliens placed their own warrior machines in the arena, sleek drones armed with blades and plasma weapons. Against them, human soldiers were given only simple tools: shields, batons, and spears. The fight seemed unfair from the start. The drones moved fast, cutting through shields, knocking humans to the ground. The aliens watched with calm satisfaction. To them, the test was already over. But then one human soldier, a veteran who had fought in many wars, changed the game. He did not fight the drones head-on. He used the arena itself. He hid behind walls, set traps with broken pieces, tricked the drones into hitting each other. The aliens expected humans to fight like animals. Instead, they fought like survivors. Clever, creative, desperate. In the end, the human soldier stood alone, bruised but alive, while 3 alien drones lay smoking on the floor. The aliens stared in silence. Their machines had been defeated by tactics no computer had predicted. When the tests ended, the aliens gathered their results. To the outside world, they still spoke with arrogance. You are weaker than us. You are slower, smaller, and broken. You cannot win. But inside their ranks, doubts began to grow. Humans were not strong in the way they measured strength. They were not logical in the way they measured intelligence. They were not trained like soldiers of the stars, and yet they survived. They adapted. They refused to quit. Dr. Marlowe looked at the sky that night, the alien ship glowing above the clouds. She whispered, "They don't understand. Survival is our greatest weapon. The tests were meant to prove humanity's weakness, but instead they had revealed something else, something dangerous. The aliens had come to measure mankind. But mankind had begun to measure them too, and the results would surprise the galaxy. The tests were supposed to crush human pride, to prove that resistance was useless. Instead, they awakened something inside humanity, something dangerous. The aliens had shown their strength, their technology, their cold logic, but in doing so they had also revealed their arrogance, and arrogance could be used against them. It began with whispers. In dark basements, in secret bunkers, in hidden camps across the globe, resistance groups started to form. Soldiers who had seen the alien drones bleed sparks, scientists who had studied the alien signals, hackers who had traced their strange codes. All of them began to work together. For once, the world's divisions began to fade. Enemies became allies, rivals became partners. Humanity had found a common threat, and for the first time in centuries they stood side by side. At the center of it all was Dr. Elena Marlowe. She had watched the tests closely, not as a victim, but as a student. She saw the patterns the aliens followed, the blind spots in their strategies. She knew the truth the aliens refused to see. Humans did not need to be the strongest or the smartest or the fastest. They only needed to be unpredictable. The first act of resistance came in silence. One night, as alien drones patrolled the ruins of a deserted city, a faint radio signal was sent through old human channels. The drones followed it, scanning for the source, but the signal was a trap, bouncing between empty rooftops. When the drones entered the center of the city, an explosion erupted from beneath the streets. The humans had used sewer tunnels, gasoline, and old war explosives. Primitive weapons by alien standards, but devastating when used with cunning. 3 alien drones were reduced to twisted metal. The aliens dismissed it as luck, but it was not luck. It was only the beginning. All across the world, similar acts began to spread. In Africa, resistance fighters used mirrors to blind alien sensors, leading patrols into ambushes. In Eastern Europe, hackers broke into alien frequencies, sending false orders to their machines. In South America, villagers hid in forests, striking drones with poisoned spears, then vanishing like ghosts. In Asia, engineers rewired abandoned satellites to send false readings into orbit, confusing the mothership. The aliens had expected humans to fight like soldiers, charging forward with weapons blazing. Instead, they fought like survivors. They struck and vanished. They confused and misled. They turned the aliens' confidence into a weakness. One alien commander grew frustrated. "They are not logical," he growled through the translator. "They do not follow patterns. They are chaos," another alien replied coldly. Chaos cannot defeat order, but secretly, doubt was growing inside their ranks. Dr. Marlowe and her secret team worked in an underground facility, hidden beneath mountains of rock. Around her were soldiers, engineers, doctors, and even ordinary citizens. She studied every report from the resistance. She mapped every alien move. And she saw a pattern. The aliens relied too much on their machines. Their drones followed orders with precision, but they lacked creativity. Their commanders trusted their technology, but not their instincts. If humans could keep confusing the machines, keep surprising the commanders, then maybe, just maybe, Earth had a chance. "We can't match them in strength," Marlowe said to her team. "But we can break their rhythm. We can make them doubt." The first coordinated strike came 2 weeks later. The aliens had built a tall black tower in the center of Europe, a hub for their signals and communications. They believed it was untouchable, guarded by drones and hidden defenses. But the resistance had been watching. On a stormy night under heavy rain, humans moved through the darkness. Soldiers carried stolen alien fragments now turned into crude bombs. Hackers jammed the alien sensors for just a few minutes. Farmers used their tractors to block the roads. Children lit fires in distant fields to draw drones away. It was not one army. It was everyone working together. The tower fell in flames. The sky lit with fire, and the explosion was so loud it echoed across nations. For the first time, the aliens had lost something important. The resistance cheered. Humanity had struck back. The mothership responded with fury. Alien voices filled the skies again. You are insects. You cannot resist. Your tricks will not save you. But the words sounded different now. They were not calm. They were not confident. They were angry, and anger was dangerous for the aliens. Because humans knew something the aliens did not. Anger makes mistakes. Dr. Marlowe looked at the burning ruins of the alien tower on the news screens. Her eyes were sharp, her voice steady. This is only the start, she said. They wanted to test us. Now we test them. Around her, people nodded. Fear was still there, heavy in their hearts. But next to fear, something else was growing. Something stronger. Hope. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity had already written its first victory. Small, yes, but powerful. The world was no longer waiting under the shadow. The world was fighting back, and the aliens had made their second mistake. They thought humanity would break. Instead, humanity was rising. The fall of the alien tower shook the world. For the first time since the black ship had arrived, humans had struck a real blow. The flames of the tower lit more than just the sky. They lit the spirit of resistance. Across every continent, people whispered the same words. We can fight. We can win. But victory came with a price. The aliens had been embarrassed, humiliated by creatures they saw as weak. And arrogance, when wounded, always turns to rage. The mothership responded with violence. Without warning, beams of burning light rained down from the sky. Cities trembled, buildings collapsed, streets cracked open. In one night, thousands were lost. The message was clear. Resist and suffer, the world wept. Families hid underground. Leaders begged for surrender, and fear returned heavier than ever. The resistance was shaken. If the aliens could wipe out entire cities with a single strike, what chance did humanity truly have? But in the ashes of destruction, courage also rose. Dr. Elena Marlowe watched the news feeds with a heavy heart. Towers of smoke covered the horizon. Children cried in shelters, and soldiers clenched their fists in despair. Yet Marlowe's eyes did not waver. She had expected this. They want to break us, she said quietly. But they don't understand. Pain only makes us stronger. Her team looked at her, tired and afraid. Stronger? How can we fight this? They can burn cities in minutes. Marlowe pointed at the data glowing on her screen. She had been studying the attacks, tracing the alien signals. Look here. They use patterns. They repeat the same methods. Their strength is power, but their weakness is imagination. The room fell silent. Everyone understood. The aliens had technology beyond anything humans could dream of, but they trusted it too much. They repeated the same calculations, the same strategies, expecting humans to follow the same path. But humans never followed the same path. The resistance began to plan. They could not match the aliens with weapons. They could not shield their cities from orbital strikes, but they could trick them, mislead them, make them waste their power. Hackers from across the world joined forces, linking systems through old satellites and underground cables. Farmers and villagers built decoys, fake cities made of wood, metal, and mirrors to confuse the alien sensors. Soldiers moved in small groups instead of large armies, striking quickly and vanishing before the aliens could respond. Everywhere, humans began to fight in ways the aliens did not expect. The turning point came during the siege of Mumbai. The aliens had chosen the city as an example. Their drones filled the skies, their machines stalked the streets. The mothership announced its warning. This city will fall. Others will learn. But the people of Mumbai refused to leave. They stayed not as soldiers but as survivors. Families hid in underground railways. Engineers wired old trains with explosives. Fishermen loaded their boats with fuel to create fire traps along the coast. When the alien drones advanced, they were met with chaos. Explosions came from tunnels. Flames rose from the sea, and rooftops became battlefields where ordinary people fought with sticks, stones, and stolen alien scraps. The aliens expected an easy victory. Instead, they faced a nightmare of resistance. In the middle of the chaos, Dr. Marlowe's team launched their plan. Using a hidden satellite, they hacked into the alien communication web. For minutes, just minutes, they redirected the alien drones against each other. Machines turned on machines, striking blindly, confused by false orders. The city still burned, but it did not fall. And the mothership, for the first time, was forced to retreat. News of the battle spread faster than fire. Across the globe, people heard the same message. Humans can fight back. The aliens had underestimated the cost of their anger. Instead of breaking humanity, their attacks had united it even more. Inside the mothership, the alien commanders argued. "They are insects," one said. "They should have been crushed already," another replied with unease. "And yet they survive. No matter the strike, they survive. No matter the test, they adapt." Silence filled the chamber. For the first time, the word fear touched alien hearts. On Earth, the resistance gathered to celebrate their small but vital victory. In the underground base, soldiers, hackers, and families stood together, holding hands, cheering with tired voices. Dr. Marlowe did not cheer. She stood at the edge of the room, staring at the flickering images of the mothership on her screen. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned with determination. "They think this is a game of strength," she said. "They think logic and power will win. But they don't understand. This is a game of survival. And in survival, humans always find a way." The people listened in silence. Her words cut deeper than weapons. She turned and faced them. "The turning point has come. They wanted to test us. They wanted to crush us. But now we test them. Now we fight on our terms." Hope filled the room like fire. The fear was still there, heavy and dark. But now it was joined by something stronger, defiance. And in the shadows above, the aliens had made their third mistake. They had shown humanity their greatest weapon, not technology, not numbers, but unity. The world had changed. Cities lay in ruins, skies were scarred with fire, and millions had been lost. Yet humanity was not broken. Instead, they were sharper, harder, and united in a way no alien could have imagined. The mothership still floated above Earth, black and silent, like a second moon. To the aliens, it was a symbol of dominance, but to humans, it had become a target. The time had come to strike. Dr. Elena Marlowe stood in the underground command center, maps and screens glowing around her. Across the world, resistance cells waited for her signal. Soldiers, hackers, farmers, and children, all of them prepared in their own way. She spoke softly, but her words carried weight. "They think they know us. They think they've measured us. But tonight they learn what it means to fight humanity." The plan was simple in design but risky in execution. A global strike. Not one army, but all of Earth working together. Every resistance group, every survivor, every hand willing to fight would join in a storm that reached from the ground to the sky. The target, the alien mothership. The operation began with silence. Hackers across the world activated their systems. Old satellites long abandoned came to life. Crude signals blasted into orbit, jamming alien communication. For the first time since arrival, the mothership felt blind. On the ground, resistance fighters launched distractions. Fires blazed in deserts, bombs shook empty cities. False signals lured drones into empty forests. The aliens, confused, spread their forces too thin. That was when humanity struck. From hidden bases, stolen alien weapons fired back at the sky. From the seas, submarines launched torpedoes toward alien crafts. From the mountains, rockets built in secret roared into the heavens. Even farmers lit fields on fire to block alien sensors. Everywhere, humanity was fighting. Not in one place, but everywhere at once. The aliens, used to order and logic, struggled to respond to chaos. For the first time, the mothership shuddered under human fire. Its shields glowed, flickered, then dimmed. Inside the ship, alien commanders argued. "This is impossible," one growled. "They are scattered, weak, divided." But another answered coldly. "Not anymore." The final phase of the plan was the most dangerous. A small human team, led by Dr. Marlowe herself, boarded a stolen alien craft. Their mission? Infiltrate the mothership and strike at its core. The ship rose through the burning sky, slipping past confused alien drones. The closer they came, the larger the mothership appeared, a black fortress stretching across the horizon. As they entered, the walls of the alien vessel pulsed with blue light, alive with strange energy. The air was heavy, the silence thick. "Stay sharp," Marlowe whispered. "This is where they are strongest, and where we must be stronger." Alien soldiers met them in the corridors, tall and armored, moving with mechanical precision. Blades of light cut through the air, plasma bolts burned walls. But the humans did not fight like the aliens expected. They did not march in straight lines. They did not follow rules of war. They split, ambushed, confused, and improvised. One soldier used a broken pipe as a weapon. Another threw dust into an alien's glowing mask, blinding it. Even in the heart of alien power, humanity's chaos broke their order. Step by step, the team pushed deeper into the ship. At last, they reached the core. It was a chamber of light, vast and endless, filled with pulsing energy that powered the mothership. Alien commanders stood in a circle around it, their masks glowing, their voices booming. "You cannot win," one said. "Your kind is small. You resist, but you will fall." Marlowe stepped forward, her voice steady. "You don't understand. We don't fight because we are strong. We fight because we refuse to stop. And that is something you can't measure." With those words, the team activated their final strike. Not a superweapon, not a powerful bomb, but a virus crafted from human code, chaotic, messy, and unpredictable. The alien system screamed. Lights flickered, machines failed, shields collapsed. The mothership trembled like a wounded beast. From Earth below, people looked up and saw the impossible. The black fortress in the sky, untouchable and eternal, was cracking. Its lights dimmed, its weapons fell silent, and fire spread across its vast surface. Cheers erupted in bunkers, in ruins, in shelters. Humanity had done what no other world had done before. They had struck at the heart of the invincible. Inside the mothership, chaos ruled. Alien commanders shouted in panic. Their perfect order was gone, replaced by confusion. Some tried to fight, others tried to flee. Dr. Marlowe and her team ran as the walls shook around them. Explosions roared, corridors collapsed, the ship itself screaming like a dying creature. But before leaving, Marlowe looked back at the burning core. "This is the price of arrogance," she whispered. "You thought we were weak. You thought we would break, but you never understood." The humans escaped in their stolen craft just as the mothership began to fall. Across the sky, the black giant split apart, burning as it descended. Pieces fell into oceans, deserts, and mountains. But the main body cracked with a sound louder than thunder. The impossible had happened. The final confrontation was not the end of Earth. It was the beginning of humanity's greatest victory. The sky was on fire. The alien mothership, once a symbol of fear, now broke apart above Earth like a wounded beast. Its black hull burned red, pieces falling through the atmosphere like meteors. The world watched in silence, then in cheers, then in tears of relief. For the first time since the aliens had arrived, the shadow was lifting. Dr. Elena Marlowe's small craft glided away from the collapsing giant. Her team sat in silence, exhausted, bloodied, but alive. Through the windows they saw the impossible, the fortress of the stars crumbling, its perfect order undone by human chaos. One soldier whispered, voice trembling, "We did it." Marlowe did not smile. Her eyes were steady, her voice quiet. "No," she said. "We did it, all of us. Humanity did it, and she was right. This was not the victory of one team, one country, or one leader. This was the victory of billions. Farmers who lit fires, hackers who sent false signals, children who carried messages, soldiers who fought in the ruins, families who refused to surrender. The aliens had tested humanity, but it was humanity who had passed the real test. On the ground, people ran into the streets as the fire in the sky grew brighter. Some prayed, some shouted, some simply stood and watched with wide eyes. From villages to megacities, from mountains to oceans, the world felt the same moment together. Fear was gone. For the first time, Earth was united, not by laws, not by politics, not by power, but by survival. And survival was something humans understood better than anyone in the galaxy. Inside the burning mothership, the alien commanders struggled to escape. Their voices echoed through failing machines. "They were supposed to fall," one cried. "They were supposed to kneel," another shouted, but a third, silent and heavy, spoke the truth. "We misjudged them. They are not weak. They are dangerous." For the first time in their long history of conquest, the aliens knew defeat. Not because humans were stronger, but because humans were impossible to predict. Their chaos was not weakness, it was their greatest weapon. Days later, the surviving fragments of the alien fleet pulled away from Earth. Broken, humiliated, they vanished into the stars. Before leaving, a final message was broadcast in their cold, heavy voice. "You are not like the others. You are not to be underestimated. This planet is forbidden." The words spread like fire. The galaxy had learned a new lesson. Earth was not prey. Earth was not a simple conquest. Earth was something different. Dr. Marlowe stood before the gathered resistance in a ruined city square. Around her were soldiers, survivors, and families. The buildings were scarred, the streets broken, but the people stood tall. She raised her voice, strong and clear. They came believing we were small. They came believing we were weak. They came believing humanity would serve. But today they learned the truth. The crowd leaned forward, listening, their hearts burning. The truth is that we are more than strength. We are more than logic. We are more than machines. We are chaos, we are courage, we are hope. And hope is stronger than any weapon in the stars. The people cheered, voices rising like thunder. The scars of the invasion remained. Cities needed rebuilding, lives needed healing, the earth itself had been wounded. But in the ruins, humanity had discovered something new. Unity. Nations that once argued now shared supplies. Enemies who once fought now stood side by side. Humanity had faced something greater than itself and survived. And survival had become victory. Weeks later, Marlowe sat alone on a mountain, watching the sky. The stars were calm again, silent and endless. Yet she knew the galaxy was not empty. Somewhere out there, other civilizations waited. Some curious, some friendly, some dangerous. But now Earth had a name among them. A name spoken in fear, in respect, in caution. Humans. The species that refused to bow. The species that turned weakness into strength. The species that proved small does not mean powerless. Marlowe smiled softly. They will come again, she whispered. But next time they'll remember. She stood, her figure outlined by the rising sun, and we'll be ready. The lesson was written in fire across the skies, in ruins across the earth. And in the hearts of every survivor, do not underestimate humanity. Because in the endless universe, strength is not only in muscle or machine. Strength is in will, in unity, in defiance, in the refusal to fall. And that was humanity's greatest weapon,